Hello and welcome to episode number 49 on the Online Trainers Podcast. I can't believe we're on to 49. Today's topic is, how are you standing out in the marketplace? Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace, and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Lynn Trim. Now, I decided to do a podcast episode on this purely because I was reading Seth Godin's book, The Purple Cow, on the aeroplane here to LA. It was a nice 14-hour flight, super tiring, but I got a lot of work done because, in that space where you don't have access to the internet, all you have is your laptop, you've got a notebook and a book, you really have to get stuff done. And when I have Wi-Fi and when I have my mobile around with constant calls and text messages and phone calls, you can't focus. And the most exciting part, I was telling my partner, the most exciting part about this trip was getting onto the plane, because that means I could completely switch off. I don't know if that's just me, but that was the most exciting part. And I was reading Seth Godin's book, The Purple Cow, and he was talking about this analogy of if we're driving onto a highway and we see a bunch of cows on our left-hand side, we generally don't stop. But he was toying with the idea of, well, what would happen if there was a purple cow in a bunch of those other normal black and white cows, right? And what would happen is we'd get out, we'd start taking photos, we'd observe it, we'd start posting it everywhere. We would want to touch and feel the cow. And what he's saying is that, the analogy here is, what are we doing to blend out of our marketplace? Like the purple cow, not blend in, but blend out. What are we doing to make people stop? What are we doing to grab their attention, to tell them that we're different from the marketplace? What is the marketplace doing now? Okay. And how can we change that so that we're better, we're more unique, we're that purple cow? And so I thought that was a really, really interesting concept, because as you know, especially with your marketing, that if you're running the same ads that other trainers are running, okay, you might be the first to run it. And, being that pioneer, there's a few things. You might have the risk of no one wants your offer because it hasn't been tested before, or your offer's awesome and no one's done it before, so you're getting a lot of leads. The problem with being the pioneer is that you have to be really creative and you have to be ballsy. The person who stays on top of the trend, slightly on top of the trend, that means the guy or the girl who's quick, who's intuitive, who sees trends moving, who's testing things and changes a little bit, that you're going to reap all the rewards. Because what you can do is you can almost model these pioneers. You can have a look at what they're doing. You can think about why they're doing what they're doing. Okay. And you can think about how you can improve the offer. And generally these people that stay on top of the trends get the leads at the lowest prices, have that thing where, in 2012, 2013, those huge opportunity ads were getting 50 cent, 40 cent leads. But the people who stay behind the marketplace, that is the people who aren't the purple cow, who blend in. Okay, you guys, if you're doing that, and that's okay, for starters, everybody does that because we generally copy what we see. I mean, this is the logic. If somebody else is doing it, they must be successful. Therefore, I would do it. That generally isn't the case. Okay, and what you'll notice now is that with ads on Facebook, they're getting more and more expensive. And that's okay. Today's topic is, how are you blending out? How are you standing out from your marketplace in comparison to your competitors, in comparison to the people around you? And what I generally, and what I will always tell you first and foremost, and that is for now, and I'm going to tell you again and again, is that you need to take your specific little island or your little tribe or your little state or territory, okay, inside that big niche, you need to micro niche down. You need to find that little niche and you need to dominate it. Okay, and that's the first step, is to being that purple cow. Because suddenly you have all these cows and then you've got this other cow who's bigger, or who's a lot skinnier, or who's shredded, or, it's having a look at, okay, what can make you stand out inside that marketplace? And I truly, truly believe, for one, it is your niche. Okay, and then when you pick a niche, you start to have a look at your messaging behind that niche, okay? And why messaging is so important now is because we live in a world where everybody's distracted, okay? And not only this, our clients are distracted, we're distracted. The ability to get stuff done and move our business forward is absolutely at a slow or staggering slow speed these days. And not because that's our fault, not because we have information. It's due to the fact that we have too much information, and that complexity causes us to be paralyzed, okay? Because we know too much. And then we're kind of like, well, what do we do? And so what I want you to realize at this moment in time is, how can you be more resourceful with the stuff that you are doing at the moment? Okay, how can you be resourceful in taking, if you're a Facebook person, if you love video, how can you take your video and get that written inside an email, and then reuse that to be in a blog, and then reuse that to be in your Facebook group, okay, and then possibly reuse that to be on your podcast. So why this is so important is because if you want complete and utter total market domination, you need to be everywhere. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you need to be writing on 5 different platforms. You find the platform where you're the most authentic. Okay, and what I mean by authentic is, people connect via stories. If you listen to the podcast I did a few episodes ago, I talked about the external pain and the internal pain. The external problem is, losing that physical weight. The internal problem is depression, the relationships that are breaking down, the fear of not being loved. Okay. The internal problem is what makes people buy. Okay, so wherever you're posting your content, you should be able to penetrate that internal problem, that internal pain. And in order to do so, you need to be your most genuine, you need to be your most authentic self. So if you love writing and you can feel it, and you can feel as though you can express yourself the most through writing, stick to writing, and then remodel everything around it, repurpose that content. So if you're writing, if you love emails, write that email. Use that same email topic, repurpose it for a blog, repurpose that for your Facebook group, and then possibly get onto a video if you're brave enough and do that. And likewise, if you're great on video, okay, if you feel as though you can penetrate that and you love talking about yourself, you can penetrate and get through that authenticity, okay, you can then go and use that email to go and to use that Facebook video to go and write the email, to go and write the blog, to go inside your Facebook group. Okay, so what I'm trying to teach you here is that, I want you to be everywhere, because being just inside somebody's email inbox isn't good enough nowadays. Okay, the average open rate, 2016 leading on to 2017, is between 8 to 12%. Okay, and 15 to 20% if you're great. And that is if you're great. Okay, so what I want you to realize is that, if you have 100 people, 100 prospects that you're talking to at the moment, you might only actually ever get through to 5 to 10, maybe 15 at one time. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to become that purple cow, but also you need to start becoming everywhere. You need to start putting yourself out inside a Facebook group. Okay, you need to put yourself out inside of your profile, your videos. Okay, you need to put yourself out on YouTube. But here's the big kicker. Okay, whilst I'm telling you need to put yourself out in there, you need to be consistent. So if you feel as though you can't consistently show up in your Facebook group every day, there's going to be a problem, because what this does is it allows people to see how authentic you are, how genuine you are, how passionate you are. And if you aren't passionate, it's going to be a double-edged sword. Okay, so this is where really I see a lot of the trainers that do succeed and do it really well and have that high level of engagement, build that tribe and have no problems with getting clients and moving them up their ascension ladder. They're doing this. Okay, number one, they're niching down. They know their short-term marketing strategy, and that is, okay, I might run a challenge, okay, and then I might go and do my long-term strategy, which is running multiple videos and getting people to go through those videos and really engaging with me for the next, 30 to 60 days, okay? So what are you doing at the moment to really stand out? And ultimately, what are you doing as well to making sure that you penetrate through all that noise? Because it's one thing to stand out, but man, if there are 1,000 cows there and there's a purple cow, it's going to be pretty hard to see that purple cow still in the midst of 1,000 cows. Okay, so you need to be unique, you need to be that purple cow, but also you need to pierce through all the noise. And that is going to where you're most authentic. Okay, because where you're most authentic, you can start to talk to that inner pain of your prospects. And if you target that inner pain, they're going to feel a connection with you. Okay, but then taking where you're most authentic and repurposing that content onto a blog, it's the same content. It doesn't take any more time. There's no need to rewrite the whole thing. You can get this transcribed. You can go into Fiverr and you just, you can find a virtual assistant for $3, $4, $5 an hour, okay, to do this for you. And so every time you release a podcast, every time you release a blog, every time you release a video, it can be distributed amongst different channels, okay, depending on what the channel is. And that's really how you're going to penetrate and you stand yourself out. So your task for today, and I hope you did yesterday's task because that was so important to go back through and step up and give yourself 7 days of implementation. But your task today is actually today I want you to figure out exactly where you're most authentic, okay? Where you're most authentic and where you can show up consistently the most. For me, consistently, I've tried 3 things, okay? For me, Facebook posts, number 1. The podcast is 2. I'm here in a hotel. I just landed. I haven't slept. Actually, it's been a 14-hour flight. I haven't slept at all because I've got a webinar to do. But I've just landed in my hotel and I thought, well, I've got time to kill. I'm going to do a podcast episode. Okay, for me, that's where it is. And the third one is email. So Facebook post, email, and the podcast for me is where I constantly show up. And that's how you're going to penetrate through the noise, because here's the deal. What you need to realize is that it takes a bit of time. It doesn't take 7 days from now. It might take 30 to 60 to 90 to even, 9 months from now. And you have to be okay with that, because you have to be thinking about your business as though it's your legacy. It's the thing that's going to, it's the thing that you're going to be known for in 5, 10, 15, 20 years when you might not be here anymore. Okay. So your number 1 task for today is find out where you can show up the most. Is it email? Are you a good writer? Do you want to be a good writer? Maybe you can express yourself the best when you're writing. Is it video? Do you find that you perform the best on video? You're just a natural superstar. Or maybe that's a challenge that you might want to overcome because you see the benefits of video. Okay. Do you enjoy writing blogs? Do you have a Facebook group? Maybe you want to start your own podcast. Find that channel, okay, and penetrate it to get through to the deepest, darkest pains of your clients. And that's how you're really going to generate goodwill, rapport, and become that expert authority, okay? And in order to become that purple cow, you need to have a look at what's different about you. And that is to start down with niching down. The second thing is then, we'll talk about this on another podcast episode, is your offer. What's unique about your offer? Is it the same transformation as what everyone else is offering? Okay, and that's the second thing. But I won't go into that inside this podcast. I'll leave that because that's more than enough for you to do. And like I always say, you need an accountability buddy to do this. So go and send this podcast episode to your friend, coach, who can do this exercise with you, but who you can keep accountable with and to. Okay, so that's the best way to implement stuff, is to make sure you've got someone else watching you. So have a fantastic day. And what I'm going to do, especially if you're inside the Online Trainers Club and you're listening to this, you might see a few live videos from Boise. I'll let you in, possibly do a live video with Russell Brunson, my mentor, as well as show you around Boise, the desert land and potatoes. But I'm really, really pumped. And that's really what I want you to do today, and I want you to implement, because like I say, I'm not here to give you more information. I'm here to actually break down the information so that it becomes so easy for you to use. Okay, have a fantastic day. I'm going to do my webinar. I'm going to go get some sleep, and I'll chat to you while I'm in LA. Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes, and feel free to leave a review. In that way, I can respond and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients, and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.